Welcome to Integrity Inspire, your daily dose of inspiration and motivation, featuring the bright and talented members of the Integrity Marketing Group family. Now, here's your host, Integrity co-founder and CEO, Brian W. Adams.
Hello, everybody. Thanks so much for joining today's Inspire podcast. I'm so excited to welcome a new team member to the Integrity family. Over the last few months, we've been searching for a new chief financial officer. It's one of the most critical hires for a company to have somebody who's leading the finance operations here at Integrity. And it has been an honor to now have an incredible leader join us. And I can't wait for you guys to meet her. And so I want to introduce Linda Zukauckas, our new Chief Financial Officer to the Integrity family. Linda, thanks so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you.
Likewise, Brian, I'm extremely excited to be here. And, you know, it's been a ways of a journey that we've had. We've been talking to each other since January.
Wow.
But that time that's elapsed has, I think, really been able to allow us to get to know each other pretty well. And for me to get to know members of your team. And it really was an important input for me into the decision process to be able to meet so many people, to be able to understand the success of the company, and to know what a great fit it could be for me.
Well, listen, for all of us, I think it's important for all of us to have that good fit, and it's been a great process for us. For those of you guys who are just now getting to meet Linda, it's humbling whenever you go through a search process like we did to look for somebody who had public company experience, who had really big company experience, really that could help take us to the next level. And it was an important thing for us as a business as we continue to mature, as we continue to grow, and frankly, as we continue this year of transformation, as we talk a lot about. We were looking for a chief financial officer to really help us grow into the future in a huge way. I was humbled that we had over 200 people who met our criteria. And then as we started going through different levels of rounds of interviews and getting down to finalists, there was one person that really stuck out, and it was Linda. And for those of you guys who don't know Linda's background, she's a very humble person, but I mean, she's been a chief financial officer at some of the highest levels. She was CFO for Nielsen's. She was also a deputy CFO for American Express. So if you think about the incredible organization of American Express, Linda was deputy CFO for them. She was chief accounting officer and controller for American Express prior to that. She also started her career at PwC in New York and also at Deutsche Bank. But we have something in common that, listen, when you're going through a resume, I went to this amazing college named Texas Tech. And not many people, especially in New York, in the finance world, go to Texas Tech. But you also went to Texas Tech, which you were born and raised in Texas. And we both went to Texas Tech at different times.
That's right.
Go Red Raiders.
Yeah, totally. That's right.
It was a fun little thing that we were able to hit it off on. It was interesting. I've never told this story. When we became employee-owned in 2019, it made the news. I mean, listen, we were on national news and newspapers, and one of our board members was meeting with somebody in New York right after that news broke, and they asked him about becoming employee-owned, and he said, and this investor guy said, well, you know, at Harvard, they teach you that you should never give away stock like that. You'll never get a return, and you doesn't it really impact the business? And this board member responded, well, then you should have gone to Texas Tech because it is making a huge impact at Integrity and something I'm so proud of. So tell us about growing up in Texas.
Yeah, so I was born in Texas, as you pointed out. My husband was born in Texas. Our son was born in Texas. Our daughter was born more in Yankee land. She was born in Princeton, New Jersey, because of my career. But growing up in Texas, I feel like it really influenced who I am as a person in many, many regards. You know, in Texas, you get to drive when you're 16, so that was pretty cool.
Some of us drove earlier.
I'm sure you did. In Rawls, Texas, I'm sure you did. But I was in Austin at that point in time, so I was not driving earlier.
So listen, I don't know, a lot of people don't know this. I bought my first pickup when I was 12 years old.
Yeah?
I still have it, a 1955 Ford pickup. I still have it. I wrecked it on the way to school when I was 14. I was in 8th grade, I think it was. and I wrecked it on the way. So I still got the dent in the fender. But in Rawls, Texas, with less than 2,000 people, you can do some things that you can't do in Austin.
I'm sure. That's right. That's right. But it was great. And, with driving at 16, you start working early. Of course, I'd started babysitting earlier, even at, 12, 13 and the likes. But since I've been 16 years old, I've been working. And I think that's largely indicative of work ethics that my parents would have instilled in me. And so that has really shaped who I am. And it's what does also bring me here today because, as you know, I took a little mini sabbatical, and about 90 days into my mini sabbatical, I was bored. And so I was delighted when we had the opportunity to meet earlier in the year and that it's come to fruition as it has.
Yeah, most people, if you've had the career you've had, I mean, when you say taking a sabbatical, Linda joined 2 boards. She's on the board of company called Zealous and a public company board called TransUnion, which is a large company. So it was really, when we met, it was really this kind of intersection for you, I think, of saying, do I go the board route and join a couple of other boards? In fact, you were offered to be on another
in discussions. That's
board,
right.
or do we roll up our sleeves and really get to work? So
that's right.
You live in New York today,
I do.
And as part of this, you're going to be relocating back to Texas, here to Dallas. And how excited are you and your husband about that?
We're really excited. And I will say, he was here with me this past weekend. Yeah. We're already hitting the neighborhoods and seeing what's out there. There aren't many homes for sale. But
popular place in Dallas.
It is a popular place, and they only stay on the market for like 2 weeks. And so you got to be there and you got to be able to act. But, what I would say about Texas is there's a part of me that has always been in Texas. And ever since the pandemic, my husband and I have been spending winters down here. Yeah. So this year, winter started in December for us, and we stayed through Memorial Day. So we spent, half the year here anyway. In part, we stayed for the eclipse, which was really, really cool. I know you guys were in the zone of totality here in Dallas, same down in Austin. So the viewing was amazing. The clouds miraculously parted just in time for us to see what was, almost one of those bucket list type items. Yeah. But I've always enjoyed coming back to Texas. I've got so many friends and family here, a lot of friends in Dallas, lots of friends and family down in the Austin area. And so it's really coming full circle for me because I spent the first 8 years of my career working right here in Dallas. And so it was just terrific to establish my career here and then to be able to come and to work for, I think, Brian, you call it the largest company nobody's ever heard of. And it is a very large company to have the new unique ownership with so many employee owners, which is really special. And just the success of the company is something that I can get behind. The mission of the company, the purpose of the company, just so many things caused it to say, okay, maybe now's a good time to return to Texas and make it permanent. So here we are.
That's awesome. Well, we're excited to welcome you back, and we can't wait for that. Now, I don't think any of us would be where we are without just a really strong support network. And you brought him up a minute ago. I know that you and your family are really important to you, which one of our core values here at Integrity's family, which we think is such an important part, not only our immediate family, but also our work family, etc. But you call your husband, I understand, Saint James. His name is James, but you call him Saint James.
That's
Tell us about that.
He has just been my rock and has just been a terrific partner over the almost 40 years that we've been married.
That's awesome.
And we have 2 amazing young adult, you can't call them kids anymore, even though we do that from time to time. But a daughter who is a successful business person, works in finance in Seattle, and a son who, with his wife, both work in finance in New York City.
Where did they get that from?
St. James was a finance major. I was an accounting major. St. James also went to Texas Tech, too, and grew up in Lubbock, and that's where we met.
We've never talked about that. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, I was telling somebody just yesterday, or it might have been this morning. I was talking to Ryan Kimball, and I told Ryan that my husband and I met at a barbecue restaurant, but it was an upscale barbecue restaurant.
Stubbs? Was it?
No, it was not Stubbs, but upscale barbecue restaurant. And that's where we met. And, fast forward to the mid 80s, we got married, and fast forward to today where we've got the two successful kids, young adults. And again, our son is married and off the payroll and doing well, having established their careers. And we couldn't be more proud of them. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, it's terrific.
So there's a couple of things I want to hit on. So I know one of our partners, Galen Hendricks, she's probably texting me as we speak right now. She grew up in Lubbock.
Okay.
And so I know she's going to be excited to meet you. And Galen is, I call her Mama Galen because she's like everybody's mama. And I love Mama Galen. But so I know Galen's excited about another Lubbock connection. So you met at a upscale barbecue.
That's right.
It's kind of an interesting twist on barbecue. And I grew up in Lubbock, right outside Lubbock, so I'm interested in what that looked like. But because where I grew up, like Allsup's was, which is like a convenience store, that's where we had lunch a lot. So that would be upscale for where I grew up. But so you met in Lubbock in college.
That's right.
How did you meet? How did that all happen?
Well, it did happen literally at work. And then when you work at a restaurant and you work.
So you were working in the upscale?
Yeah, we both were.
Oh, I thought
Yes.
you just met.
No. It wasn't like, a pickup thing or anything like that.
What was the name of the restaurant?
The Roadhouse.
The Roadhouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. Part of the County Line group.
I love the County Line.
Yeah.
In fact, we had my family all still gets back together in Lubbock, and we rotate between kids, like the different families.
Sure.
And it was our year this year. And we had it at the County Line this year. It was awesome. It's not called the County Line anymore, but it's a really cool spot out in Lubbock. So y'all met working there?
We met working there. He was a manager. I waited tables, which was a terrific job to help put myself through college. So I bore the largest brunt of the expenses of going to school at Texas Tech. And thankfully it was Texas Tech because, you could do that. But, one of the things that I've always tried to do is make sure that work is also a place that you can enjoy. Yeah. And we both enjoyed working there, and it was fun, and there was a lot of camaraderie with our fellow colleagues. They were mostly college kids as well. And so it made work a fun place to be. And so we had fun working in the restaurant business. And it was a great place to work while we were in school.
I too waited tables in college.
Okay,
I was at El Chico.
Oh, and I would go there from time to time.
Listen, I worked at El Chico as a waiter.
Yeah.
And I think you learn, it was a great experience. I hope my kids one day wait tables because you learn how to deal with people. Some people are super nice. Yeah. Super helpful, super happy to be there. Some people are not so nice and not so happy. That was back when we had smoking sections. You remember that? So you would, if you got put in the smoking section, you just knew.
Forgot about that.
It was like those days were. It's hard to believe that we had that back then. But one of the things I will tell you, by working in the restaurant industry, one, I really appreciate good service now. And I never send anything back. Yeah. That's one of the things. I could go on stories like, my wife will not like something. She'll be like, "Can you send it back?" And I'm like, "Man, I would never do that." So I haven't sent something back since working because I saw what happened in the restaurant business. But yeah, it was great. I mean, it was just great experience, I think, in working in hospitality in so many different ways. Now, you've worked for some of the most incredible companies, and your time at American Express, your time at Nielsen, and so many other companies. Tell us about that big corporate experience that you've had, and really the excitement you have here for Integrity.
Yeah. I don't think I started off with a goal of working for large companies, but it's just the way the career fell into place. And I always think your career progression is dependent upon doing a great job in the role that you're in and getting noticed for doing a great job and being that person that can be relied upon. And I always strove to do that in my various roles. And I would say that as far as landing in large companies, of course, PricewaterhouseCoopers is a very large, it is a big company. And so that was a great...
Deutsche Bank's a good...
It is a very large company. But so that was a great foundational place for me to start. But then after that, I would say my career was really a series of just being opportunistic and being open-minded and wanting to continue to learn. I think we're all life learners, and I always like to learn and stretch myself. And with, throughout the course, what I did do was I did move around to different companies, but with some staying power as well. Typically would spend 8 to 10 years at any one of the companies that I was with. And so had ample opportunity to establish myself and to build my reputation. But then if opportunities would arise, and sometimes that's just luck of the draw as well, but if opportunities would arise, I would think about it and say, hey, do I think that's a good time for me to consider something like that? And then always go home and bounce it off St. James and see what he thought. And one of the best stories of that is when we had the opportunity right around the time of the Asian currency crisis, which is a distant memory for many, and many people probably weren't even...
What years were
that would have been in the very late 90s. Okay. And we had the opportunity to go live in Asia during the midst of the Asian currency crisis. And couldn't have happened without an adventuresome husband and a couple of kids who were willing to take join us in that adventure as well. So our son at the time was 6 or so, and our daughter was 1 or so.
Gosh.
Yeah. And so our son had the opportunity to go to Singapore American School for 1.5 years. And our daughter had the opportunity to learn Singapore, and she even spent some time in a Mandarin preschool.
Wow.
And picked up at least 5 words, which she promptly forgot when we got back to the U.S. But it was just a terrific experience and a great family experience as well. Because when you're in Singapore, you're 12 hours the opposite of my bosses were in New York. And so just a great experience. Cut a little bit short because I went over to Singapore with an American company, with Bankers Trust. But while I was over there, Deutsche Bank acquired Bankers Trust.
Wow.
And you've got to make the best of the situation. So what I did with my team there is when the Deutsche Bank leadership was going to be making the rounds and coming and meeting with the senior leaders in the region, I told my team, work on bios, and we're going to put our best foot forward, and we're going to show really well, and we're going to, be very transparent and explain what we do and what role we have in the company and what we've been accomplishing over the past 6 to 9 months. And it served us well in the long run. I was offered a leadership role with Deutsche Bank. At the time, I was working in internal audit, and I was offered a leadership role back in New York. So we did get deported, but it was fine. Yeah, deported. But, we had 18 months to spend over there, and it's just an incredible experience. And a great example of how rich of an experience it can be. Our son and daughter-in-law in 2017, 2018, it might have been, actually went to the wedding of one of my son's classmates from the Singapore American School.
Oh, that's awesome.
Full circle, the classmate from Singapore American School ended up going to the University of Michigan, which is where our son and daughter-in-law went.
That is awesome.
And they, friendship rekindled. And so they were able to attend the wedding in Jaipur, India, by the way.
Wow.
Yeah. So just...
Wow, that's
awesome. The power of networks, too.
Yeah. So I've heard so many great things about Singapore. In fact, I'm reading a book right now. It's in my office. It's about the founder of Singapore and how it went from essentially a small, sleepy fishing village to the financial hub of Asia today. And it's really starting to replace Hong Kong. And one of our teammates, Vernie Sue, is Singaporean.
Oh, nice.
So we'll have to
Did
connect
he give you the book?
Well, she gave it to me.
Okay.
I'll connect you with her. She's on our legal team.
Totally, yeah.
And she did give it to me. And it's an amazing story. I don't think I would do very good in Singapore because you can't chew gum in Singapore. You can
do it discreetly. You can do it in your own home.
In your own home. But
don't spit it out on the sidewalk.
It's supposed to be the cleanest place you'll ever visit.
Yeah.
So that had to be a great experience for you guys. And then you moved to New York. You've had such a rich career. Yeah. But I also understand we also have something else in common. We both love Broadway plays. And so moving to Dallas, we do have like Dallas
Summer Musical,
which is is great.
Yeah.
It's not quite the same as Broadway. What are some of your favorite plays?
Well, I always think about the plays or the shows or the musicals, and I think about the experience that I had going to them. So one of our family's favorites was Wicked.
I love Wicked.
Wicked it's just
amazing.
great. It's
amazing.
really, really good. And a person in my network and her son were in town a couple of weeks ago, and we had the opportunity to catch up with them, and they had gone to Wicked. It has stood the test of time.
Oh,
it's just terrific. Love Lion King.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I've seen it. I've seen that 4 times.
Yep.
It is amazing.
Yep.
We've taken our kids. I loved it.
Yeah, the costumes and coming down through the audience and everything.
One of the girls that my wife graduated from high school with has been in Lion King for years.
Oh, amazing.
In New York, and so we got to go see her, and then she took us backstage, and the costumes were the thing that amazed me more than anything.
Totally. There was a couple of years that I was doing the fly-in thing, and I was working in New York, and I remember one summer. My daughter and I, we split off from the guys. The guys went to go see Spamalot, and our daughter and I, we went to see Legally Blonde.
Oh, and how was that?
We saw it several times. It was amazing. It was so fun, and typical thing that mom and daughter can go to and have a great time. And we had a terrific time. We've probably seen it 3 or 4 times on Broadway.
Really? That is awesome.
Yeah, Hamilton.
Oh, my favorite.
Yep. Amazing.
Favorite.
And Hamilton we saw probably a couple of years after it came out. And then it was the first Broadway show that we saw once Broadway reopened after the pandemic.
So I was in New York, and we went to Hamilton. Somebody said you got to go to Hamilton. And I was throwing up on the price. I was like, why is this thing so expensive? So I was meeting Steve Young the next day for a meeting, and my wife and I were in town, so we went. And I didn't know anything about it. In fact, when they started rapping, I was like, they are rapping? Like, what is this? And I didn't realize, so I go see Steve the next day. Steve's a big a musical fan. In fact, his son is trying to make it on Broadway.
Wow,
he lives in New York
great.
today.
Wow.
But anyway, so we were there, and he goes, how was it, man? Oh my God, you got to see Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, I didn't even know who it was. And so I didn't appreciate it the first time. I said, I didn't know it was going to be rap. So about the first half, I was like thrown off. And he's like, where have you been? Like, what in the world? I grew up in West Texas, man. But we've since just fallen in love with it. In fact, we've taken our kids to see it.
Yeah.
It is one of the great, it's just so incredible, everything that he's done. I also like Encanto, which is a cartoon movie
that Lin-Manuel Miranda did the music for.
That's amazing. Yeah. That is so fun. I love that. Have you seen Music Man with...
I have not.
What's his name?
Hugh Jackman.
Hugh Jackman.
No, I didn't see it.
So I got to tell you, man, when you get to see a real star, we just happened to be in New York for a deal, and we were like, well, let's go see if we can get there. Hugh Jackman, he's bigger than life. And the guy is just amazing. The thing I watched about Hugh Jackman, Music Man was okay. The thing I loved watching was how into it he was, even when he wasn't the main person.
Oh, cool.
Like how into it he was, like watching the other people. It was just so cool to me, man. I love that. I think that there's so much to gain from being able. I never grew up with going to musicals or things of that nature, but I love that. It's something socially that you can do with so many different people. So I'm excited for the Dallas summer musicals
totally.
here.
I've seen Dallas summer musicals before. They're
good.
They're very well done.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
So I also understand you're a social golfer. You like to golf. We in fact, when we were interviewing, we would text a lot about different golf tournaments. What does social golfer mean?
Well, so look, I'm not very good. And so don't ever ask me to go play 18 holes where I'm hitting my own ball because I don't know if I would survive it. But probably, especially when I was at American Express, we would host a series of golf clinics for women. And of course, American Express is a very commercially oriented company, big sales aspect to it. And there would be a lot of women leaders who might not have basic golf skills. But if you have some basic golf skills, it can carry you a long way in a fundraiser where it's typically a scramble format where all 4 of you hit, whoever landed the best ball, that's where the other 3 people go and you hit again. And that's social golfing for me.
I love it.
And probably my best social golfing story was coming out of the pandemic, June 2021. I was invited to KPMG host an LPGA event, one of the majors, and I was invited to go. And I was also invited to play on Tuesday, which was, I guess it's the Pro-Am day. And I was, about to head to bed the night before, so Monday night, and I got my pairings. The person that was going to host me from KPMG gave me who the pairings were. And I looked down and I was like, Nelly Corda. and two other people that were in this host network. So it was the host, myself, another person she had invited, and then our pro was Nelly. At the time, Nelly was the number one golfer in the world.
Yeah.
Yep. She went on to win the Olympics that year.
Wow.
But on hole 15, we used my drive.
At a girl.
You bet.
At a girl.
Yeah.
That is
That's
awesome.
the only hole we used my drive on. And we didn't have to use my drive.
Oh.
But on hole 15, we used my drive.
That is awesome.
Yeah. And it was at the Atlanta Athletic Club, I think it was called. And it's a really nice course. And they required us to have caddies. So I actually have this on video because my caddy was like, "You want me to film it?" And I was like, "Yeah, what the hell?" And he filmed it. And so he's got me doing my practice swing, then hitting the ball. And, as I'm coming around and doing my high fives with everybody else, there's a little glimpse of Nelly. And I think she was surprised.
Let's go, Linda. LZ.
I think she was surprised.
That is awesome.
But I was the fourth one to hit in my foursome. So it was a good shot.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it's a great story.
So I too am a social golfer. I don't play golf and I won't swing a club, but I man the bar.
Okay.
And I also, if you're going to golf with me, we're going to have music. It is so I'll have my Bluetooth speaker, and I've got a little bar bag I take with me that
nice.
I'll manage the bar, make sure everybody has fun, and I'll take a lot of pictures. So that's my style of golfing.
Nice.
Listen, I am so excited to work with you in this new role. It's been important for us to bring in somebody with your experience, and we're humbled to have you joining us today. And really, in this kind of important time in our company's history, as we've, as we started out of my house, as we've continued to grow and expand, and at some point you say, listen, we need to really build out all of the financial foundations so that it helps us for the next stage of growth. And I say this all the time. I think that we're just getting started. And I truly believe that. I think that the future is so exciting for what we're doing here at Integrity. We just expanded into the wealth business and announced Craig Walling and Integrity Wealth recently. Our life and health business is going incredibly well. And we think that the way that we serve Americans holistically with their life, health, and wealth is such an important part of what we're doing here at Integrity, and doing it with integrity is a big part of that as well. Whenever we first started talking, I did say we're the largest company you've never heard of. And it's truly, it's never been about like putting ourselves out there saying, look how great we are. Yeah. It's really about how do we take care of people and serve them. What are you most excited about now joining Integrity and about the opportunity that we have ahead of us?
I think there's a lot to be excited about. I've mentioned a couple of times that under your leadership and with your co-founders and with the employee owners and with some terrific PE investors as well, the company has just been incredibly successful. And so congratulations to you and Thanks. All of that assistance and help and other critical leaders to make that happen. And every year the company's grown. And I think that is really, really exciting. And I'm excited and looking forward to being a part of that. Purpose-driven is important to me at this juncture in my career as well. And so I think the purpose that Integrity serves is incredibly important. And then I would say, number 3, I am a CFO. Nothing's more important than integrity. And so I'm going to go to work with integrity. And I mean that personally. I mean that, physically, literally. And I'm not sure that there could be a better place for me to partner with you, partner with so many other terrific employees. I've been very impressed by the quality of talent that Integrity attracts. And I think that a lot of that is based on you and the culture that you bring into the company. I'm looking forward to being a part of that culture. And the team that I've had the opportunity to meet thus far has been just incredibly impressive. And you say you're humbled. It's an honor for me to be here as well. And I'm really excited about partnering with you and seeing, what this next chapter, what this next trajectory for the company looks like, and delighted to be a part of it.
Well, we're so excited.
Thank
you so much for joining us. Listen, I hope you're as excited as I am to welcome Linda to the team. We call her Linda Z a lot, so you'll see that on her email as well. But listen, this is an important part of how we've brought amazing people together to really say, let's bring together world-class leaders to help us go out and serve our important mission of helping people plan for the good days ahead. And we're doing that in such an important part of the market and really serving so many people. And so please help us welcome Linda to the team. And Linda, thanks again for joining us. We're humbled to have you on board and can't wait to see where we go from here. I think the future is incredibly bright. I hope everybody has an incredible week. God bless you all, and take care and have a great one. Take care.